Okay, welcome to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel. Please subscribe. All links are in the description. Hi Lynn, hi love you guys, and g'day to everybody else out there who's listening, and I'd like to welcome any new listeners. And we'll just get straight into it because I haven't prepared anything. Okay, this is written by Desert. It's called The Signs of the Times. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time, who they are and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world, about who the giants really were and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the earth-based misnomered UFOs which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cyber code has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology, and mythology, not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. Desert discusses the ultimate in mind control and ancient art and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations, and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess, who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV, and print media, while he can see, read, and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end, they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it. But they are cleverly leaving us in the dark, hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been, excuse me, lost my voice already, that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water to tainted vaccines to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we most all are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate, but they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. Yes, they do. I'd like to welcome Dezert-Owl. G'day, Jet. How's it going? Hi, Desert. Welcome.
Hi, Dane. Thank you. Good to be here. I want to say hi to everybody out there. Grateful for all the, the friends who continually stop by and get their fix of what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. And we talk about things that nobody else is talking about. Have to wonder why.
Yeah.
And but that it is part of the grand scheme. That as it says in Revelations, I believe it is, that the beast has deceived the entire world. Now that's quite a deception to think that they've deceived the entire world. So, and it says in our scriptures in 1 John 2:27 that the truth is not a part of any lie. And as you know, Ninja, I say that if you want to know the truth, then the first thing you need to do is to discover all the lies, and then behind it all, you will find the truth. And that's one of the great secrets of
yeah, exactly. You got to wade through the lies to get to the truth. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I'm and to go further on that, then the word, I was looking at some words every day, and but yesterday, I believe it was, I was looking at, I have my 3x5 card here, and about 2 days ago, I was looking at the word Latin, and in there, I just opened the book, and boom, there it was, Latin, and it means hidden.
Yeah.
Hidden. And of course,
really?
In there, the word the tin, and the tin was one of the secret mineral wealth. They would not let people know where they were getting their mineral wealth from, and so everything in regard to mineral, your gold mine, would be kept secret.
Yeah.
And so literally the word Latin means hidden. Well, but what was interesting, if you may remember, I said that the word Lot was an abbreviation of the word Lotan, that Abraham's nephew, Lot, who ended up moving to Ashadom falsely called Sodom, Ashadom. His name was abbreviated for some reason. And when I looked it up in the Strong's Concordance, there it was, Lotan. And the question is, how come? Why do they need to go to such an extreme to just give us only half of his name? What are they trying to hide, right?
Yeah. We know they go to extremes, but they're not that great because we can see through it, or you can see through it. So please continue.
Right. Well, just as I'm looking at the word, of course, Lotan. If you break it into two words, lo and tan, then what it means is the true darkness. Okay. The true. And I think that's one of the elements of the word. And just like to hide the light, they certainly don't want us to get the picture about the darkness that they ensue upon us. So I'm writing it down here.
Okay.
Just took a closer look at it as I continue to look at the words they keep opening up.
Yeah.
So Lotan, for Lot, means the true darkness. Well, I think that's pretty much what happened. When he was driven out, his daughters left their husbands behind. His wife died of a stroke when she turned around and looked back at the destruction that was happening. And so the true darkness is, of course, what happened to the citadel, Ashadom, which is falsely called Sodom, but Ashadom means the royal eye of judgment. And so the darkness is what the royal eye of judgment brings upon the earth, because Ashadom represents the earth. And so it is the destruction of our world. The destruction of falsely called Sodom and Gomorrah is the destruction of our world in a microcosm, in a symbolic event called Sodom and Gomorrah. But Ashadom clearly means the royal eye of judgment, meaning that we have to come to terms. We have to come to terms with who we are, where we are, when we are, and why we are. And if we're not willing to analyze it and look at it, then it's likely we're going to miss the mark and throw away our lives, because our lives are precious. We only have one.
Yeah.
And therefore, we want, just like everybody likes to take care of themselves, they like to groom, they like to eat, they like to do all these things for themselves. But how about defining who they really are within the great mystery of life?
Exactly. Exactly. Like I know how important this is, but you just brought it home then, Desert. It's like this is life or death. Like, what we're doing here is we're trying to save people. We're trying to save people's lives. Like,
well, but at the same time, you're number one on that list, and I'm number one on that list. We're also attempting to save our own lives at the same time we're trying to help others, because you can't save your own life without helping others. And as we continue to serve, the Fibonacci unfolding continues. In other words, the more we do the divine will of trying to wake other people up, then the divine, correctly, the Travain will then is coming down on us. Like I'm receiving so many revelations now, more than I have ever had in my life, on a daily basis, and I'm cramming 12, 14 hours a day of reading about 25 books. I go into about 25 books a day.
Wow.
Read a section, a small part. I take little bites, because within that little bite I get a lot. You know, and so I have a technique that I use, and I've got to get to the translation. I'm almost there, because I'm still having computer issues. But I wanted to get back to the part about the Latin. So, excuse me, the Latin then meaning hidden. Well, Lotan, I looked up the definition, of course, and it means, interestingly enough, just like Latin, as you can see, they all have the same root. Take out the vowels, and you got L-T-N. L-T-N. Both words, Latin and Lotan, are the same word, change just different vowels. And so just like Latin means hidden, according to definition, and I actually have the book site where it was taken from, but Lotan out of the Strong's Concordance literally means a veil and a covering.
Wow.
So you see, even these root form LTN literally means hidden, a veil covering, and then also, as I just defined it by the lexicography of Lotan, the true darkness is the true darkness. So that's what this saga about the destruction was all about, the destruction by fire. And now we know where our world is being destroyed by fire, at this very time by the UVB and UVC radiation.
Yeah.
And pretty soon there won't be any life left within about 2 years. Nothing will grow anymore, unless maybe in their underground bases, or unless a new type of covering is put over a garden to block out some of that additional UV radiation. But it's clear that we're going down now, and there's no repairing. There's no repairing what the damage has been done now to the ozone layer.
There's no going back. Not at all.
Okay, so if there's nothing you want to add to this, and I have a definition on horse that I was going to read. I've had it tagged for months actually, and I keep seeing it. I say, okay, I got to do the horse thing.
Okay, well, I might put in my little 2 cents worth before we get into the horse, which sounds intriguing. Just an update on what's going on down under. We had no insect, as most of you know, we had virtually no insects over summer, and a summer-long heat wave, drought, all sorts of wild weather, left us with extreme loss of cattle and fish and birds falling from the sky, and the insects. I noticed all we had were mosquitoes, pretty much. And now that the weather's cooled down, like we went from hot to cold, but now it's a little bit warmer. It's just all over the place. But I think nature thinks that it's spring, because spring wasn't spring last year, if that makes sense. I think nature thinks that it's spring because we have an onslaught of insects now. There's still not as many as there should be, but the flies, we have flies now. We didn't get very many spiders this year, which is a good thing because I don't like them. But the ants have appeared, and bees, and I don't know, I've just noticed a lot of insects at the moment, and it should be the opposite. Like, we should have had them all over summer, and now it should be easing up with the insects. And same with the plants. A lot of plants weren't coping over summer, to the point where I was seeing dead trees in backyards, like walking around the suburb. And now in my backyard, the bulbs that come up once every spring are coming up, and I've got flowers blooming. It's really bizarre. My heart goes out to nature. My heart goes out to the nature of this world. So that's the update, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was all.
I had a fly in the house yesterday.
Really?
And I'm actually was glad to see it. I normally don't like a fly in the house, but they're now getting precious, and to be a precious commodity. And with no flies, no frogs, no flies. As Dane says, no trees, no.
Oh, and we have crickets at the moment. Really
no
loud
life.
ones.
Okay, well, we're at the verge of having everything go down in our world, and it's an amazing. We always wonder what it would have been like to be at the beginning, and here we are. We find ourselves at the end, it looks like, and so it's an interesting perspective to see our world going down by psychopathic, mindless slaves, drones.
Yeah.
That's a good word for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the definition. I like to do different aspects of symbolism, because we have to be able to read the symbols. We have to be able to read nature, because all of nature is telling a story about life. That the higher consciousness, which is called the higher attic, form of communication is within nature, and in order to receive a vision, one has to also be able to interpret a symbol, because when the vision comes, it's going to be in the form of some picture, nature, in some form or other, whether a cloud or whether a tree or whether an animal. This is how the great breath of the wind and fire the Great Spirit speaks by using natural form, and if we cannot interpret the meaning of natural form, then we're going to be limited on our ability to get the picture, to get the message that is within the image. So that's why I do this, because it's about, in other words, the alphabet itself, the AVG, not ABC, but the original AVG, D, are all symbols that convey a message. Of course, starting at the beginning, the AV conveying a message of light, and then by the time we get to the letter D, it's a symbol of death, and the sunset. The D, turn the D 90 degrees over, and you can see it's a sunset. Take the flat part and make it go down on the horizon, and you can see it's half of the sun setting.
Yeah.
And so that's where we get the word death and destruction and doom. And so then when we look at our words, we'll look at our eshavors, which are words, differently, the logos, and realize that you can determine the value of a word by the value of its letters, and know that if it's complete in accurate form, or if it's of a corrupt nature, a negative versus a positive, all these things within the makeup. This is how I have been reading all of these years. It developed over a long process of time. And so one of the most interesting symbols of creation in regard to animals is the horse. It is very much a supernatural type of a creation. And if we look at Revelations, we see that Yeshua comes riding in on the horse. First we see him in Jerusalem riding on a colt on his last week, when he rides in riding behind the ass, not on the ass, but behind the ass. There were two. An ass which can give no life because it's not male nor female. Then he's riding on a baby stallion, a colt, and so he's coming in behind the ass. What the ass represents, of course, is Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the ass, and he's riding in on a baby colt, on a baby horse, and we see the horse full grown when we go to the Book of Revelations. That little colt that he was riding in on then becomes a full-blown stallion, and with victory of light. You see, riding on the wings of the wind, and so the horse is, and there we see if we break out the H as it typically is the word the, then we see the or, and the or is the prime root for life, and then the light seed. So in one sense, it could be the light seed is the horse. The horse has a spirit that is certainly needs to be respected, because I ended up on the ground one day, and my horse ran all the way home without me when I was having a little fun with him. And I thought, you don't fool with horses, you know.
I had a horse bolt on me once.
You respect, yeah.
Yeah, I was on it. I was still on it. It just wanted to get to the giant bale of hay. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I was in Colorado down a dirt road, and so I had a pretty good walk back home.
Wow.
And but the horse was spooked because I was moving stuff from one cabin to another, and all the clanging and clinging of all the metal was spooking him. And then he got spooked one time too many, and then and then just ran home. So horses have a they're not like any other creature. They're not like a dog. They're not like a cat. They're of another nature, and they're beautiful in their quality. What they do for us. They provide a service in throughout history of pulling the cat, the wagon, or the but they also can be very close. I used to do what we call gymkhana, and which is sort of like a horse show thing. And when I was working on a ranch, a farm in New Jersey when I was a teenager, we got to ride the horses for working on the ranch for free and just helping out. And so we got to ride the horses, and so we had one horse, and I could call him. He would follow me. He was so very well trained, and so they are highly intelligent, but also of another nature. They're not like any other creature. And so I just primed it a little bit. Now let's talk about the symbolism. Okay, symbolism of the horse is extremely complex and beyond a certain point not very clearly defined. finds an animal associated with burial rites in Chthonian cults, whereas Merton's Stinon considers it an ancient symbol of the cyclic movement of the world of phenomena. Hence, the horses, which Neptune with his trident lashes up out of the waves, symbolize the cosmic forces that surge out again out of the Akasha. There's the Aisha right there.
Mm-hmm.
I highlight that. Acacia. That sounds like acacia wood. I've not focused on that. But anyway, there it is. More things to look up. The blind forces of the primigenial chaos. That's the acacia. The blind forces of primigenial chaos. Let me just hide that as well. And by the way, we do take calls here, don't we, Ninja?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody call in on Skype, Free America Radio, Free America Radio, all one word, or you can text me at 608-566-7295, 608-566-7295, and I can three-way you in. You have to give me your number by text, and then I'll call you back, because that's the only way we can three-way you in on the phone. We can't take the call during the program direct.
Yeah,
okay,
I will figure out Skype one day.
Yeah,
I will.
There you go. So applying this latter concept to the biopsychological plane, Dale concludes that the horse stands for intense desires and instincts, in accordance with the general symbolism of the steed and the vehicle. The horseplay plays an important part in a great number of ancient rites. The ancient Rhodians used to make an annual sacrifice to the sun of a 4-horse quadriga, which they. Okay, and after our definition, we've got Stacy in California. She wants us to touch base with her, so we'll bring her in.
Okay.
She does have horses, so she probably wants to comment.
Yes.
And so the horse. So Deal concludes that the horse stands for intense desires and instincts. Okay, in accordance with the general symbolism of the steed and the vehicle. The horse plays an important part in a great number of ancient rites. The ancient Rhodians used to make an annual sacrifice to the sun of 4-horse quadriga, which they would hurl into the sea. Okay, so I guess when you have 4 horses riding together, it's called the quadriga, and I failed to remember reading this before. I have a lot of notes in here highlighting. So the quadriga, that's what they call 4 horses together. We see them in the games in Rome. They had the quadriga then with the 4 horses pulling their chariots.
I've never heard that before.
4 horses,
wow.
4 horsepower.
Yeah.
When they would hurl into the sea, the animal was also dedicated to Mars, and the sudden appearance of a horse was thought to be an omen of war. Okay, a sudden appearance of horse. So
yeah.
would make sense. Certainly.
That makes sense.
And,
there's a movie called War Horse, isn't there? Is there? War Horse?
I don't know. Okay.
I could be wrong.
And England, to dream of a white horse was thought to be an omen of death. I would think it'd be a black horse, but I guess not. It is very interesting to note that the great myth and symbol of the Gemini, illustrated in pairs or twins, in two-headed beasts or in anthropomorphic figures with 4 eyes and 4 arms, etc., appears as well in horse symbolism, especially in the form of a pair of horses, one white and one black, representing life and death. The Indian Aspins, the probable source of Castor and Pollux, those are the twins of Gemini, Castor and Pollux, would depict themselves as horsemen. In medieval illustrations of the zodiac, the sign for the Gemini is sometimes portrayed in this way. As, for example, in the zodiac of Notre Dame de Paris, Notre Dame of Paris, considering that the horse pertains to the natural, unconscious, instinctive zone. It is not surprising that in antiquity it should often have been endowed with certain powers of divination. I'm now thinking about, Elisha was taken up to the throne of the sun in a horse-drawn chariot up into the sky.
Yeah,
and
you've made me
back to the
think.
sun.
Yeah, you've made me think of something as well. Horus, the Egyptian so-called god.
Yeah.
With the horse head. That's
Yeah,
right,
there's
isn't
the word
it?
horse. We
Horus.
see the word horse in
Yeah.
Horus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, there's the word hours. So the word hours probably is a root with because we see that it's very similar, has the same root then as horse, because why? It would be in the metaphor, the horse is pulling the chariot of the sun across the sky. That's the horse, those are the Horus, those are the hours. You see? So very good, Ninja, very good.
Wow, thank you.
In fable and legend, horses being clairvoyant are often assigned the task of giving a timely warning to their masters, as in the Grimm's fable, for example. Jung came to wonder if the horse might not be a symbol for the mother, and he does not hesitate to assert that it expresses the magic side of man, the mother within us, that is, intuitive comprehension. On the other hand, he recognizes that the horse is a symbol pertaining to man's baser forces and also to water, which explains why the horse is associated with Pluto and Neptune. Deriving from the magical nature of the horse is the notion that the horseshoe brings luck on account of its fleetness. The horse can also signify the wind and sea foam, as well as fire and light. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the horse is actually a symbol of the cosmos. There you go. And also, I always saw the neck. This the beautiful long neck of the horse has what we call the mane. The mane is the hair pulled on one side of the neck is the mane, and to me, it looks like a timeline, as if going down the neck. You know, I always saw it as very symbolic of a timeline. It's certainly a prime symbol of creation, and yeah. So the horse has been renowned, you know, throughout all time as a very important creation of the sun, of the light of creation. And what's interesting about the horse, one footnote, is that they actually where they're fearless in battle. You know, they can just go full bore into a battlefield and carry their warrior, but they absolutely are terrorized when they're confronted with camels. And it was
really
a story with the Persian Cyrus when he knew that he put all of his camel forces in the front line when he was going against the Greeks, and the Greeks were already set in battle array with the horses out the front. And as soon as they started racing towards each other, it says as soon as the horses could smell the camels and see them, they went in confusion, went the other direction. They would not run towards the camels. So the camels to a horse must be like some type of supernatural creature that they can't even begin to figure out. It's sort of like a super horse or something. So that's how they won the battle with. I think that might have been at Thermopylae. I'm not sure, but you know, one of those great battles with the Persian Empire.
Desert, you just made me think of something else, horse related.
Okay.
Trojan horse.
All right, yeah, the Trojan horse today is the United Nations, and the Trojan horse back in the time of Troy was brought there by the Greek culture over onto the into the land which is today Turkey, where Troy is right there in the Aegean Sea area. And the Trojan horse was given as a gift to Troy, and then they pulled their ships off the shore, and when it pretended as if they sailed away and went over the horizon. Of course, if it were a flat Earth, they couldn't have gone over the horizon, but they did, and therefore they waited till nighttime, and then they came back, and inside the horse, they brought the horse inside the city, and then after they partied, because the Greeks had gone away, then the next thing we know, in the middle of the night, when everybody's drunk, they come out of the body of the belly of the horse, come down on ropes, open the front gate, and the rest is history, as they say. And they conquered Troy after a 10-year war, simply by giving them a gift. And and that's So the horse was used as a means of a gift as well, and therefore deception in war. So the horses, they're quite a powerful creature, and there's several different types. So anyway, why don't you give out my information real quick, and I'll bring on our caller, and we'll be right back. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Desert will return shortly with our caller. If you would like to help Desert out with the transliteration project, you can donate at www.therealpublicradio.net. That's www.therealpublicradio.net. Any size donation is greatly appreciated, and it all goes towards the translation. In doing that, we'll send you some PDFs to help you understand the original thought, the code, to help you understand it better. There's a copy of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. There's also a copy of the Book of Wisdom, and also a sample of the original Gospel with a more up-to-date version of the dictionary at the back of it. If you would like copies of these PDFs and you can't afford to donate, that is fine. It's all good. Just because Desert has had some technical issues, you can either call Desert on 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. If you're international, add a +1 at the start. You can either call Desert and ask him, and he can get me to send them to you. My email is also in the description. All these contact details are in all the descriptions of every Chronicles live stream. So yeah, you can pass messages on to Desert through me if you like. You can contact me with my email, and I can send you out the PDFs. Desert is available for interviews, and he's happy to answer any questions live or privately. You can also Skype him on Free America Radio, and I'm working on it. I have Skype in the computer, but I don't know how to use it. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, so I couldn't get it to work. So we'll get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. Are we good?
We're good.
All right, Ninja. Thank you for that. And we have standing by Jet 888, and it turns out that Jet also has horses, so she obviously has something she wants to say. And Jet, I see your note here, and pigs hate horses too, huh? How about that?
They wouldn't.
Yes,
I had to approve.
Everybody.
Yeah, I had to approve that comment. It would. I just thought that was funny. I just want to say g'day, and yeah, please continue.
Yay, hello. I just want to let you all know I can't see any of the chats or anything because I don't have access to the chat or visual or a computer.
Yeah.
So it's,
well, how did the horses react when they see a pig? I mean, is it a noticeable?
Oh my gosh. A couple of years ago, I was down below in the field down below, and I have a mare and a female horse, and the neighbor in the same area had a big hog. He kept some hogs, and I had turned her out this is a 7-acre parcel, and I turned her way down at the other end, and she literally beelined it to these hogs, and she was being so aggressive over the fence. She wanted to kill them. I've never seen a response or a reaction like that. I mean,
wow.
It's like she was like fighting for her life. It was real crazy, and I mentioned it to someone, it was a vet or someone who's well, with horses, and he said the horses, they hate pigs, and I've seen the reaction. I love pigs, I just have to tell you, but the horses do not respond well to them, unless maybe, of course, there's a way you can desensitize. But
yeah. Now, Jet, back away from your mic a tiny bit because you're overmodulating.
Sorry.
That's better, yeah, I think. And so you're saying that the horse actually wanted to attack the pig? Is that what you said?
She's being very aggressive. Very aggressive.
Wow. Okay. So the person certainly shouldn't have been riding in on pigs then. That would not have been a good idea.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe you have some that snort and run away from them. I don't know. But her being a mare, the mares tend to be the kind of the protectors of the herd. So she was, for some reason, very aggressive. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a pig story. So, so what about the horse? Do you see more symbolism with the the horse as far as anything you can add to what the?
Well, what about the 4 horses? The postulates. The 4 horses. They have the brown, the black, the gray. I think aren't there 4 different colors of horses?
Yeah. They did. Yeah.
I don't understand all the symbols behind that though, but.
Yeah, well, the colors definitely have bearing. We'd have to go read the text again to be able to comment on it, but the white horse, of course, would represent the light and the sun. The dark horse would represent the darkness. And then the pale horse, I think, has to do with, off the top of my head without looking, the starvation and the things, the plagues coming upon the earth would be like the pale horse. So there's... but the horse, the fact that, and all there's so much imagery there, I have to go back to qualify, but basically, Yeshua is, it's the full-grown horse now. He rides into Jerusalem on a colt, but in Revelations, we see he had victory of light. We know he came back from the dead. He came back. Most people are still waiting for him to come back. I don't know what part of coming back they don't get. While rising from the dead is about as powerful as you can get. Not about is as powerful as you can get, and so he came back, and so we see him riding on the horse full grown now because he's had the victory and he ushered in the age of golden light. So the horse is the great symbol for mankind to ride upon. It is the war, the war implement of ancient time, and certainly the people were intimidated in ancient time by the horse. If we can imagine primitive people. They're planting their gardens and just trying to, hunt deer, and then all of a sudden they see, a creation riding on a horse with weaponry. We could imagine today that'd be like, seeing military in a helicopter or a tank. It would be very intimidating, and this is where we see the what's called the centaur. The centaur was the man horse, right? Which we know really wasn't a real creation, so it's a mythological idea of the first people who rode horses, and so you can imagine a primitive then actually thinking that maybe they're one with the horse. They give, on the first instance at least, on the first sight of something like that, and so we get these pictures of the centaur, the man horse, and he's conquering. He's got the shield, he's got the spear, and he's going around conquering on the horse. So obviously it was the first animal used in the aspect of dominating other cultures, and and so it'd be pretty intimidating, and the horse could obviously just run you right down in a heartbeat. And then, so what's interesting is we see the word centaur today, and Zen. We see the word Zen there, of course, which means infinite. Zentor, the power of infinity, because obviously you got the superior military, anything goes, so it's infinite what you can do. But then we find the word today in the word senator in Washington D.C. The senators are the modern day centaurs. They ride on the airplane now, whereas in the ancient time they rode on the horse.
Desert, can I just jump in?
Yeah.
I was thinking of this while you were speaking, and I had to jump in after that. About the airport. The horse with the red eyes at that airport that's full of symbolism, and I can't remember the name of the airport.
The Denver Airport.
That's
Denver
it.
Airport.
Colorado.
Yeah. I just had. That's all. Please continue. I just had to jump in.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Did you want to say something, Jen?
Well, the interesting thing too about the Colorado, the Denver Airport, that sculpture that the artist, and I don't recall his name, that sculpture he was working on, killing him. The head of the horse, it fell on him and killed him while he was making it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very symbolic. That's very symbolic in itself.
What about also the mounted police? You know how they use the horses in crowd control, how they go through the crowds. Because horses can be very intimidating.
Yeah.
But also I know when you're riding a horse in the hills or the wildlife, you can get a lot closer to any wild animal when you're on the horse, because they don't see you as it's two things. They just see that horse, and you're attached to it. So you can get really close to them. Versus if you're just on the ground, the wildlife can flee. But if you're on a horse, you can get a lot closer. I think that's kind of weird.
I think that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the horse has played an important role throughout history in a lot of different ways. Certainly, plowing the field has been a real help there. Of course, the ox was probably better fitted for that type of work, but the horse was always there as a backup for those type of things. And
they probably used them for migration too. I mean, without the horse, I don't know how we would have migrated like we did.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Well, you certainly get a lot further. When I lived in Colorado, I lived on one of the oldest ranches in southern Colorado, the Archuleta Ranch, right at the base of Archuleta Mountain, that famous mountain where they say they got the UFOs underground there, and I didn't know it at the time. I actually camped out on top of the Archuleta Mesa, but so when I was there at age 18 for that winter and summer, I got to go visiting on horseback. I'd go visiting into the next town over, Edith, Colorado, population 34. Hippie friends were over there, and that was back in the 1970s. And then I'd go exploring in the mountains on horseback, and I felt like I was in a Western movie or something. It was so classic. I would take the horse down these really steep, canyons, and literally go down the sides, and it was amazing how dexterous the horses are. That they can do that, and then they'll go down in the very bottom where the river, the gully, and the ravine where the river is down there and stuff. And it was just fantastic to explore on horseback. That was one adventure, that I was so glad I had that experience, to do something like that.
It's spiritual, really.
Yeah, and I remember I just got the picture of going visiting in the wintertime on horseback into Edith, and I would come back at midnight or 1 a.m. in near 20 degrees below zero, and the horse would have all icicles pouring off of all of its whiskers, and including myself. I'd have all the ice around my face, but it was an adventure. When you're young, you can tough that stuff out pretty easy. I wouldn't do that today.
Yeah. You smartened up.
Yeah. Well, it was. I got to ride the fence, classic lay road fence with the horse, and repaired barbed wire fence and did stuff like that. Rounded up cattle. So I had a real experience doing that. It was a good time, to have that. Growing up in New Jersey as a in suburbia, it was quite a contrast, and I got a lot of good experience out of all that, at the time. So.
Well, I
That's
hope
my
the horse
story.
is something that we don't. I hope that people I know are getting away from it. But where I live, the area seems to be. They have trails and they try to make it look like they're welcoming the horses, but some of the attitudes. There's a man that goes from way northern California to the southern tip of California every year. They call it he's the three mule man, and he just he bases himself basically on the right to travel. He's not homeless, but he does travel. He used to have 3 mules, now he's down to 1. But the resistance he gets and the hostility he gets just trying to walk with his mule on open public areas, that everyone's allowed to travel. He has people calling the police on him. He's been arrested. He's doing nothing wrong except for traveling. And
he's riding on back. He's riding on the back of his mule, right?
No, he's walking. He's walking beside his mule, and it's just everywhere he stops. He'll tie his mule up to the tree to go in to get a cup of coffee, and he still has visual of his mule. And within 5 minutes, police are there because someone in the management was called to report him, and then they just harass him to no end. It's crazy, but hopefully we don't lose. Hopefully we don't lose that contact with the animals like that.
Well, we're plummeting, so everything's people of society are all messed up, so it's you can't even walk on the interstate highway. That was back in the early days, 30, or when I was a teenager in my early 20s, and I was hitchhiking around cross country, and even the interstate highway, which you can see right on it, it's a symbol, it's a shield, and it's a red, white, and blue shield, and it's actually the same shield you find on the Federal Reserve Bank. So that they say it's the King's Highway. You can't walk on it. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we get thrown off the freeway just when how do you walk somewhere if you don't have a car? So anyway, our world is all messed up. Jed, is there anything else you want to talk about real quick? Well, we got you. I appreciate your call.
No. I'll just listen off there then if you all want.
Okay. Well, and by the way, how many horses do you have?
7. Is
You've got 7 horses?
Yes.
Wow.
I know. I love them. I'm like one horse away from being a cat lady.
Yeah.
I am a cat lady.
a ninja lady.
Right.
I just had kittens too, Ninja. If you have me kittens, so.
Have you considered? In other words, have you thought about when everything shuts down, how you're going to be able to feed them? Is that going to be a challenge?
Well, I just got 12 tons today, so that's 64 bales times 4, so whatever that is. I'm 6 months. I've got feed for 6 months.
You got 6 months, right. Okay.
And the grass. The grass is incredible here right now. I'm in San Diego, and it just rained. I woke up and it just rained, so we have a lot of grass right now. But yeah, the water would be the big thing. But
water.
Stores of water. Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know that our creation is going to suffer when things go, take the worst turn, and that's going to be really tough. I know to see.
Yeah.
Your animals.
Traveling though, with the traveling, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, that's sure. Yeah, that's the way you can get around. You can stay up the main road and go through the back hills.
Yeah, I know all the trails, but I don't know, you guys. Just recently, when you were saying how the energy's picked up, like for me, the energy is picked up. I'm a little bit more on alert, and I know the horses are too lately. It's kind of weird, but I don't know. They'll still listen. They're still calm. I feel really in tune with them, but there's something. They're on alert. So I don't know what it is, but I don't know. My whole family's labeled me as what is it? paranoid personality disorder.
Yeah.
So,
I can relate.
anyhow,
I can relate to that.
we're all struggling, yeah. It might be a good thing, though. I mean, we'll be more awake, but it's hard to wake everyone up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the definition of a paranoid, right?
What?
One who's been made fully aware of the facts.
There you go. There you go.
God.
That's the best response ever. I love that.
Yeah.
Let me write that down.
And you can't go back to sleep. That's the thing. You can't turn it off. Whoever has their eyes open, does anyone ever go, oh, never mind, I'm going back to sleep?
Yeah, no, you can't help it. You just keep seeing more and more. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's really, you can, I guess you can stop pointing it out to people because the people around you just don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But so what do you do when you see the floodwaters coming? What do you just run for the hills and not tell everyone else, hey, turn around, look? What do you do? You know? Oh, wow. Yeah. It's sad, but I'm glad you all are here.
I'm glad you
I
found
feel like
us.
I finally found a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really
So
glad.
that's awesome.
And I just want to tell everybody else, please subscribe to Jet's channel. There's some beautiful videos on there with the horses. Yeah, so please subscribe because she's now part of the family, aren't you?
Aw, and I'd be making more, but I don't have my computer. So in fact, my computer just popped off, and my internet was taken away. So I have, you are it. So,
Okay.
Yeah, well, you guys be good. I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, thank you so much for touching base. We hardly get callers, so it's a rare treat to
thank you.
have somebody join in here.
Yeah.
Well, remember, it's early for me, so I haven't even finished my whole cup of coffee.
I just finished my I've been drinking coffee all day. Yeah, anyway.
Okay, love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.
I just want to welcome. Sorry, I just want to welcome Debbie as well. G'day, Debbie. How's it going? Yeah. Please continue, Desert.
Alrighty. So I had before I get into the dictionary of all scriptures and myths, I normally do that first, but I wanted to do the symbolism. So now I just want to show where we when we talk about what we call the Book of Moses, there's a variety of texts that it's made up of. Even though part of it is the work of Moses, it is not the 5 books of Moses. It is clearly, anybody who does the research will find out it's a component of about 5 different works. And so I'm just going to read out of Rocco Errico's The Mysteries of Creation and what he talked about here regarding authorship. Okay, so I have a second witness here, and he does a great job of laying it out. That's why I like this. So in regard to the Book of Moses, and it could, if we call it the Book of Moses or Dezert-Owl, it also means, as the story goes, he was called Moses because he was drawn up out of the water. But this story in the metaphor is drawn up out of the cosmic waters, and so that's probably why it's called the Book of Moses, in that it represents the cosmic waters of creation, because that's where we have come from. Out of the cosmic waters we came to be. We are floating in the cosmic waters. The earth is bobbing like a cork up and down in the cosmic waters. And as the sun is going around the great clock, the Mesoros, the zodiac of a 24,000 year cycle approximate. And so the German scholars in the latter part of the last century began proposing that the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, emerged from 4 distinctive primitive traditions. These sources of tradition are known as the J, That's the Yahwist. I don't know why they use the J because, well, we know why. Because it's the negative letter, and they don't like the Y. So, but the Yahwist text is primarily represents the southern kingdom of Judah. And then the E represents the Elohist text, and that is the northern kingdom, the Elohist text. So the first, for example, the first chapter of Genesis is from the northern kingdom. And then the second chapter is the Yahwistic text from the southern kingdom. That's why it seems like there's two separate narratives of creation, because there are two different sources brought together. And they don't ever qualify it, of course, and there seems to be slight confusion within this approach to the narrative.
So it's just two different perspectives. Two different perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But being it's not qualified, there's it's a little confusing.
Yeah.
For the first reader. Then we have the P text, which is the priestly, meaning that additional elements were brought in, and there were certainly elements that were taken out. And the D for the author of Deuteronomy being a separate work all by itself of an exclusive type. And so it's not even included, therefore, in the other four books. And then, the D, there's the D letter again for the death as well. So Deuteronomy may be construed, therefore, to be strictly by priesthood, perhaps those following the Babylonian Talmud. I've got to now make another read of it based on this additional information. There is also another known as the R, and that's the redactor. The redactor, and a German word meaning editor. And that's of the final text of all five books. The book of Genesis is composed of three traditions then, J, E, and P. And of course, there is the hand of the redactor, the editor. And they actually, of course, they manipulated our scriptures. They did reversals. They changed the words, meanings. They've done a slicing and dicing of our scriptures that is mind-blowing when one realizes the true aspect of what had occurred. The German proposal, known as the Deuteronomy hypothesis, had won over most of biblical authorities by 1875. The hypothesis radically changed the method in which biblical interpretation was practiced. However, since the turn of the 20th century, notable scholars have vehemently challenged this theory. The challenge rests not in the basis of, well, of course they're going to challenge it because they've got to keep the narrative. No, he wrote all five books, and so for those who are not going to do the research, not going to analyze it, not turn all the pages of our history, are not going to be able to see it. They don't want to see it, It's easier to believe. I believe, I'm a believer. That code word, which means to give little credit to something, and certainly to your own brain capacity, because you would be able to find this information real easy if you looked for it. The challenge rests not in the basis of religious belief alone, but on arguments that are the challenge rests not on the basis of religious belief alone, but on arguments that documentarians themselves post. And they see the documentary hypothesis, 8 lectures by Yu Kasuto. At least 6 basic objections to this hypothesis exist. The objectors claim that these German scholars misunderstand classical Hebrew and did not possess sufficient knowledge of ancient Semitic thinking to create an accurate hypothesis. I call that the nonsense propaganda. According to the Deuteronomy hypothesis, Genesis 1:1 through 2:4 was alleged to have been written by P, the priestly school. It's clearly evident because the J text, just clarify, in the translation called the Bible by James Moffat, he put all of the J text in italics. The The J text is a separate text, and it's found in the British Museum. Okay, and so it's no speculation. This is this is fact. Okay, and so nevertheless, there are other schools who contend that only one author wrote the Book of Genesis. In addition, there are those authorities who hold that one Moses was responsible for the basic tradition of the 5 books, and of course, he also then would have had to written about his death. And 2, that he wrote the law for his people while they were in the desert. No matter who the author or authors may have been, all biblical writings have been edited by Hebrew scribes, for those writings were ever accepted as sacred canon. And since it is not my intention to present a critical historical analysis of Genesis, the question of authorship will not be developed further in this volume. My purpose here is to offer some historical facts, all capital letters, findings and opinions, and not to argue the authorship. So that's Rocco Errico. So anyway, so what we see is that, in other words, and that's also then not to take into consideration that the narrative of our creation came from the beginning. It came from the Adam came through his sons, Seth and Enoch and Noah. Even in the book of Enoch, you will find the part of Enoch was written by Noah. Okay, so they were writing from the beginning. So these accounts weren't written. The creation element was not written by Moses, Moesha'ul, but were put there by previous authors. And so the 5 books of Moses is a collection of all of these others that contributed to the first story of how we came here. And so the fact is this, that these writings, being different fragments that were brought together, let's ask the question, when were they brought together? And they were brought together after Israel was annihilated, after it was banished, after the exile. And so basically, the fact is that what we call the 5 books of Moses came out of Babylon after Israel was no more. Okay? And so that's the reality. And so the people who are bringing us this collection from the northern and southern kingdom and others are pulled together hodgepodge work that was in order to be able to reestablish now what would be the pseudo-Israel, the supposed Israel, but Israel was no more because the northern kingdom was banished and dissolved officially by Yahweh in 730 BC, and then right around 500 BC, then the southern tribe of Utah was banished to Babylon, and so there is no more Israel, and therefore they were trying to use what was called the 5 books of Moses as a foundational document, falsely called the Torah, because the Torah is bull. There's your bull again, the golden bull that they want to discuss, the papal bull.
Wow.
And that's the key element in Torah. But therefore, they're all following the Babylonian Talmud in this reinstitution of a pseudo-Israel. Okay? So there's so much more that can be said about it, but all of this is discovered.
Yeah, it all makes sense. Yeah,
the
it all
Apocrypha
fits.
that was taken out of the King James Version,
Yeah.
the 16 books of the Apocrypha. In 2nd Esdras, it talks about how they received the new alphabet while in Babylon during the period of time when Ezra fasted for 3 weeks, and then for an additional couple of weeks by eating the flowers of the field. This is when they got the new alphabet, and the new alphabet was legitimately received by Ezra, but yet because once Ezra was gone and he died, then the Talmudists take over. And then now today what we have is not really Hebrew, we have Yiddish. Yiddish Hebrew, and we don't know what those original symbols were because they've changed them over time. And it's the ultimate code, the ultimate cyber code, because even certain letters, when they go to the end of a word, then they change their picture again. They get another design, you know. So they literally have 5 letters that if they end up at the end of a word, then they change the picture altogether. And it's all about confusion. It's all about control. And they even call their Bible the Sefer. And Sefer means, as it's clearly heard, it is the cipher. Cipher is a code, you know.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And just the way you explained everything just then, not like, it's obvious that, I mean, it just makes sense. Like, over that amount of time, over so many years, they've had plenty of time to like put layer upon layer upon layer and change things so much to make it near impossible to figure out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so in other words, when they come back into Israel's no more, but they come back to Yudah, to Shalom, Jerusalem, then they're attempting to reinstitute their culture, and but from that point on, and this is the reason, of course, they murdered Yeshua, is because they were following the Babylonian Talmud and they were merchants. It was all about the money, honey. You know, they wanted nothing. They knew he was the Mashiach. They knew who he was, and they knew he was healing people. When does that happen? You know, when you heal the blind and you heal the lame and you raise the dead. When does that ever happen? They knew who he was, and they wanted nothing to do with him. They weren't going to bow down on their knees and and honor him. The great Elohim, representing Yahweh, they were occultists, and so the point is that from the point when they came back and were rebuilding the temple, this was all a pseudo, like putting on a suit. Looks pretty good, but it's it's in need of some repair because something's wrong. It doesn't fit, you know, and so that's basically what happened. So they were manipulating and changing the scriptures.
Yeah. Right
from 400 plus BC.
Yeah.
Okay, so it didn't start 2,000 years ago, or it didn't start with the Vatican. It's been an ongoing process of engineering the words.
Yeah.
You know, and as you know, I've done it over the last several interviews where we prove out now who this character of Adam really is and really was in his nature, and who the serpent is, and all of that. It's all been glossed over and switched out and decimated so that we could never find our way back home with the truth, you know, and the truth is not a part of any lie, and Yeshua's a revealer, and I'm so grateful for the fact that he has revealed, you know, so much of this legacy back to us, Ninja. That's a powerful
Me too.
deal.
Me too. Yeah, I've said this before, like when you explain it, it's easy to see the big picture. It's easy to see what they've done and how they've done it, but it's not until you explain it that we can see it. So yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to Yeshua for using you to help us see. Desert? I really am.
It's a real honor and pleasure to be here, Ninja. I'm still, we all have work to do on our own state, our dilemma. We're in a dilemma, and the dilemma is, how do we overcome the world? How do we overcome our mortality? Mortality means death.
Yeah.
That's the definition of why, because it means martyr. If you are mortal, you are mortar. You are clay. You are dirt in the essence of what that metaphor means. But we are not of the physical. The physical is the illusion. We are a spirit within a conveyance, within a cavity, an automobile, a house, and it is here to serve us. But instead, the vehicle got us to serve it. It said, "Hey, wash me, feed me. Hey, come on, let's go. I want to go do this. Let's go." And all of a sudden, we become the slave to our lower nature, you know. And so we have to reverse it. We have to conquer the ego. We have to conquer the egotistical flesh, the self, and which is not the self, but the conveyance, the instrument. You know, it's like it's no different than you know, the truck drivers. You know, as you know, I was in trucking, and then the guy that wants to be the owner operator, you know, he gets the bank loan, then he gets the brand new 18-wheeler and the box to carry freight, and all of a sudden he can't go home anymore. He's got to stay on the road. He's a slave. He's twice a slave, more than most, you know, because he's now got to pay that note. If he don't pay the note, they take his truck from him, you know, and he gets bad credit. So the same with owning a house. You know, you got to keep paying the house, maintaining the house, pay the note, you know, and so all of a sudden we become slaves of our environment and of our world. And so that's why you know, Yeshua gave them, you know, the most extreme example of just walk away. You know, walk away from it, because it will consume you. So it's a definite you know, mystery to wake up to.
Yeah.
But everybody's reading the King James authorized version. Authorized by who?
Yeah, the world is
Authorized
consumed by what you just described. The world is completely saturated with it. Yeah. So sorry, please continue.
We're destroying all the fallacies, and we're bringing forth the you know, the light of the reality, which is very different than what we've been handed. We have to see things with new eyes. We have to wipe the table clean, as if, you know, just for a moment, just to be able to hear some things we've never heard before.
Yeah.
To be as if we don't know anything, so that we might be able to see something for the first time. You know, like there was, I don't want to. You know, this other, I won't mention names, but you know, this other YouTuber I got to know a couple years ago, about 2 years ago, and we were talking back and forth. He had his prison conversion of, you know, being a drug dealer and everything, and now he's got, you know, his prison conversion, because that's what they do in prison. They get religion real easy when they're in prison.
Okay.
And then you know, and then he gets out and he's doing YouTube, and we're talking, but then you know, he's totally stuck on King James. He's never really become a scholar. All he's done is he's picked up his King James version and started reading it from cover to cover, and all of a sudden he's now expert on spirituality and this ancient tradition, and yet so he basically condemned me, you know, outright. You know, and I just wrote him back, if you think I'm going to entertain you by reading all of this letter, you know, this nonsense he gave me, you've got something else, you know, coming, because I'm not gonna waste my time, and you wasted your time as well. And then I capped it off by saying, I know that you do think you're better than me, and that's another. And I just said, that's another illusion, you know, and I left it at that. So, yeah.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I love that you have the best way with words, or Aishavors.
Yeah, well,
you're the complete
you know,
opposite to me. Like I know what I want to say all the time, but I just can't get it from my brain out. It gets stuck.
Yeah.
And
well,
yeah.
Well, when in other words, when he didn't really know what was at his disposal here, and what it was, if he could have, you know, like I was asking him to interview me and let's talk. Let me share with you, you know, the things that I have learned. And instead, he couldn't get past it. You know, he couldn't get past the symbols that I was talking about, and you know, and the deeper meaning of words and everything. It's like, you know, so it was really, it's to me, it's a prime example, because what they do is they parrot the King James. You know, oh, Jesus loves you. Yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so. John, you know, 3:16, and all these other, you know, quotes. And they never get past the illusion. They think that it was a serpent that beguiled Eve. You know, like snakes can talk, right? Give me a break. And don't get any of it. You know, they're on the merry-go-round of the illusion that was created for them. You know, in other words, one of my classic statements was ultimately became, about a decade or so ago, you know, in my own discovery process, as I was observing many of my friends who were stuck on that merry-go-round, and my you know, ultimate question would be, you know, the things that you follow in your spiritual tradition, are these things that you have been handed to you by tradition, or are these things that have been revealed to you by Yeshua? Because all the things that have been handed to you by tradition are part truth and part lie. And once you begin to pierce the veil and see through the illusions,
they can't see the
difference. You're not going to follow these traditions anymore.
They just can't see it. Like,
Because what I follow and what I talk about here on the broadcast is what has been revealed to me over a long process of time, and it's nothing that anybody else is talking about. They cannot see it.
Exactly. And now, just now, like, you've been doing this for so long, and just now you're getting all the confirmations. Wherever you look, you get a confirmation. You get, like, I don't know where I'm going with this. You can prove yourself over and over and over that this is truth. This is correct. This is the only way home. All those other words. This is reality. This is the way it is. And nobody else can do that when they're referring to other scriptures, other versions, other, like the Bibles. Like, I saw a list. Like, I'm no expert. You know that. Everybody that knows me knows that. I'm very unfamiliar with scripture. So I'm learning everything as I go. But I came across a list of up to 300, and this was incomplete, up to 300 different versions of the Bible. All sorts. And I read somewhere that it's not right to change the Bible to suit you. You have to change. I don't want to say to suit the Bible, because the Bible's wrong. But do you know what I mean? Like, everything's opposite now, and they've got Bibles for. I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm just saying what I saw. They've got Bibles for women, they've got Bibles for children, they've got Bibles for men, they've got Bibles for, how do I say it right? I'll just say transgender. They've got Bibles for people with different coloured skin, all sorts. So that'll do.
You got it.
Yeah.
And want to say thank you to Teresa, Take the Old Devil, and for a nice compliment. And I'm glad to have you here today, Teresa, and everybody else, of course, as well. And so I have some definition now, and that was some good feedback, Ninja. Way to go.
No worries.
And all the I'm not worried. I keep telling you. Okay, are you worried about me?
I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I have no worries.
Issue going on there.
I have no worries. Sorry, please.
Yeah.
Please go.
So the one thing you'll find out when you compare all these different translations, though, is they're almost all identical. As different as they are, they're still all the same. And literally, not one of them breaks the Vatican Code. And that's actually what we do here when we talk about the words righteousness, bless, Lord, God, glory, heaven, all of these words, bless, these are the code words, and they are not what we think they are. And these are, when I do the transliteration, of course, then these are corrected based on the original thought, because they control. That's why they took the word that originally was what we call four gospels, was evangelion, which means the message in the stars, the message of enlightenment, the star message of enlightenment, evangelion, and they converted it into gospel. They're saying go spell fool if you think you can, because you can't, and they engineered it all at a very place. They even called the college, where they did the trick of abbreviating all of our words or switching them out, the College of Abbreviators, run by Jesuit Curii. They put the cure in your eye. They put the mud in your eye with that Masonic mortarboard on your head when you graduated school, fool. And so we we have to literally become scholars. But you know what? Most people don't have the time. They don't have the wherewithal. They don't know where to begin, and they're under a spell.
Yeah.
But the spell is not a magic spell. The spell is an engineered fabrication within our world, within our society,
Exactly.
that entered into our mind.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
just like, you know, they will kill you to defend the lie. You know, they will persecute you to defend the lie.
Yeah.
You know, they love the beast. Oh, nice beast. I love, that's my beast. Leave my beast alone. It's a beast. I love it. And so yeah, they're just literally they're sold out. They're authorized by who? Okay, if the 1611 King James is the only authorized version, then what was authorized prior to 1611? There was no version prior to 1611.
Why does it have to be authorized? Why does it have to be authorized? Why?
Well, apparently the fact is the King James never authorized it. They just threw the words in there, you know.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
You know,
that's it. That's all. Yeah.
It's a mind control technique, you know. If I say, well, don't you know this is authorized? If I come with you as I'm an authority, you know. But so anyway, I just wanted to, you know, add a little bit to what you were talking about.
Yeah, thank you.
That's how they do it. They got the Good News Bible, you know, or they got the Cool Man's Bible. You know, hey, from the cool down, shut down, baby. Come on now, go down. You know what I mean? Talking about it. Yeah, hook up, like you're doing. Anything you want, they got it. You know, sure. They got it.
I'm not going to be able to stop in a minute. Yeah, anyway.
All right, so now we're on. Let's breathe deep here.
Okay, yeah, I'm breathing. I can't mute. Sorry, if I mute, then I mute both of us. So yeah, I'm breathing.
Yeah.
Please continue. Yeah.
All right. So now out of the Dictionary of Scriptures and Myths, we're going to read the Passion of Yeshua, the Passion of Jesus.
Okay.
And so it is a symbol. The Passion of Yeshua, which the Passion meaning, you know, those last hours when he was betrayed by his own citadel, by his own state, supposedly. But they were, of course, interlopers and not really the original tribe of Ashuriel. And he was then betrayed by one of his followers. Interestingly, that it was the tribe of Judah that had Jerusalem, and then it was also Judas that betrayed him. So we see Judas is the macrocosm of Judah, right?
Yes.
Judah,
Yes,
Judas.
Yep.
See? So it's telling a story. There's a story there.
Yeah.
And it means his own people, supposedly his own people, but they were just pretenders. That's all they were, following the Babylonian Talmud.
Yeah.
And so this was the last hours of Yeshua, the Passion of Yeshua, a symbol of the agony of the yet imperfect soul as it approaches perfection. And what did he say when Nicodemus, which is not his real name, but that's okay. Nicodemus came looking for him and says, hey, you need to leave the area because Herod wants to kill you. And he says, go tell that fox today and tomorrow I'm learning to be a sacrifice. And after the third day, I will be perfected. So he was acknowledging in his own statement that he was not yet perfect, that he was learning to master the walking on water and this walk on earth in the serpent, in the flesh.
Yeah.
And that he would be perfected after the third day, meaning when he conquered the flesh and he rose from the dead as spirit. And so we have to do it metaphysically, in the metaphor, metaphysically here on earth and now, to rise from this death that we all found ourselves in and rise to the newness of life in the Mo'eshiyah. That's what we have to do. Okay, so that's the great mystery. And so we rise from the death now, and then whenever our body mortally passes, which was called the second death, death no longer has dominion over us, and we go to the beyond, even though it looks like our body goes to the grave. So continuing here, my soul is tremendously being tested, exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Stay here and watch with me. And he went forward a little and fell on his face and created light, saying, my true, perfect, and complete Father, if it's possible, let this away from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. That's Matthew 26:38 and 39. As the spirit is raised in the aspiring soul, so in proportion the person, the character, Yeshua, becomes depressed, and the suffering makes it appear that it cannot do the things that it would like to. It is filled with a sense of powerlessness, a futility, of sore trial. The Moeshiach Shul, the Christ soul, could not do then, in his present condition, what he foresaw would be done by the higher self, which strengthened him. Yet he progressed, and losing sight of the lower, he yearned after the union with the higher. In the soul, there was the alternation between the earthly and the aspherical, and the struggle for perfection. As the character grew weaker, the individuality increased in strength, and the mental depression and suffering became temporarily the greater in the lower consciousness. With all sound theologians, and with all the doctors, I deny the possibility of the divine nature suffering. The Elohimic state cannot be tested, cannot be tempted. And how should the Elohimic state suffer? The earthly nature of the Moeshiach alone suffered, the physical. And that is not infinite, but finite, as E. Irving collected writings. Even Yeshua was not perfect, as the star message of enlightenment themselves witness. For one who could create light, not my will, but thine be done, not my will, but yours be done, was plainly not yet in the final union with the great Elohim. Of course, this is symbolic, right? Because we know that he was, but it creates symbolism, doesn't it? Not my will. Okay, so he's showing the struggle that we find ourselves in. You know, It's about, that's why this picture was created, because he was in perfect union. But the picture that's created is as if he were not. What the reason he says not my will, because his will was to do the Father. He said, the words that I speak, are the Father's words. We know that everything he did was to do the Father's will.
Yeah.
So he had surrendered his will always. He did not follow self-will. If he did, then when he was starving to death and his ego tempted him, hey, stupid, make this rock a loaf of bread. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it because he would not serve himself.
Yeah.
Would not serve.
Yeah.
He would, but he was willing to make 5,000 loaves, right? He'd be willing to do that
for everybody else. For others. Yeah.
So we have to see, because when I read this, I'm reading it, I don't like what it's conveying because it has a double meaning, and therefore I just wanted to clarify that. So continuing, and so it needs must be, for when that perfect union is accomplished in us, there remains no passion, no cross, no burial to be endured. In other words, we in the metaphor would welcome death. We're happy to die to this world. All rebirths are ended, and the spirit is ever freed from matter, from the lower realm. And continuing, because so soon as perfection is attained, this plane of suffering is necessarily incapable of retaining the purified spirit. And that comes from the perfect way. And then this next one is relevant. It's the Judean Passover, the Feshach, or the Phase keys, a symbol of the process of redemption, wherein partly disciplined qualities, Israelites, by partaking of the divine nature, the ram, are nourished by the divine life as they triumph over the things of darkness and pass over from a lower stage, Egypt, to a higher stage, Genun, the garden at high noon.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. Sorry, please continue.
For our Passover also have been sacrificed even the Moeshiach, the Christ, 1 Corinthians 5:7. So even our Passover hath been sacrificed, even the Moeshiach.
Yeah.
He is the one who allows us to pass over. He is our bridge. He is our Levi, our Levi, our Levi. Okay? So we have to cross the Gulf. And the Gulf is between here and the light of the sun. That's the cosmic sea. We've got to sail across the cosmic sea back to the light. And he is the sacrifice and the conveyance, the true conveyance. So we enter his body. We leave our body for his body. He is the only loved seed. That's what it meant when he came up out of the water and the corrupted version said, "This is my beloved son. Listen to him, in whom I am well pleased." No. This is my only loved seed. Only loved. So if you want to be only loved as well, you have to be in him and to surrender and sacrifice yourself on the proverbial tree of eternity. For our Passover also hath been sacrificed, even the Moeshiach. Through the sacrifice of the higher self in involution, the Trevane life is outpoured in evolution up to the higher state. For Dezert-Owl in Meitzar, falsely Egypt, the house of bondage, for the Moeshiach aim, the Christian in the world, the one great truth is the Passover, redemption through the blood of the Zavram, the Aram, the star ram. He was not a lamb, he was the ram, the star ram. Salvation. Okay, so he was the star ram of solnovation, not for our perfection in the flowing light's sake, or our righteousness' sake, the code word again, but because the blood is on the doorpost. Let me read this again. This is profound to get this picture. And I'll try to just use the regular words here. How about that?
Okay.
The codes. For Israel in Egypt, the house of bondage. For the Christian in the world, the one great truth is the Passover, redemption through the blood of the Lamb, salvation, not for our righteousness' sake, but because the blood is on the doorpost. You see, that's why he will save us, because we are being washed in the blood. None of us are worthy from that standpoint. And what is this Passover but redemption? The elect family with shoes on their feet, good to go, and their loins, their waist girt, ready for flight from Meitzar, Egypt, are standing by night. Romans 13:12. Within the house whose doorposts are painted with the blood, while the destroying Malach is abroad. That's the law of offerings. The water and blood which flowed from the side of Yeshua as the true Feshach Zavram lamb is the symbol of the spiritual life, which through the death of Yeshua is communicated in all its fullness to mankind. What Elohim God is aiming at is the production of humanity, which will be the perfect expression of the Moeshiach, Christ. Through the Moeshiach, Christ, from the very first, he has been working out this divine ideal, but not on the the plane, this lower plane only, every a shan of the victory of light who has ever lived has but passed on to another department of the service of the Al-Hayy when he has finished with the body. He has moved on. No matter what, we will all be moving on. And we need to get it right now, right here. It is all one work. We are in the lowest department of it now, and we know not what is being done in the higher, unless we are focused. But the higher knows what is being done in ours, and that's the good news, and how we are doing it. R.J. Campbell. Solidarity in the Moeshiach Christ. And then one more. This was my morning read. It just seemed to fit right in line. The first thought, round which the grand wonder of the atonement grows into shape, is the thought of blindness as a real, live thing standing forth, or the serpent as a real living thing standing forth to be fought with, to be conquered, to be killed, to be stepped on, smash its head with the heel of your feet. Not a mere mortal weakness to be strengthened or an intellectual emptiness to be filled, but an enmity to be slain, a giant, a leviathan to be subdued, to meet that enmity, to slay that giant. The Moeshiach, the Christ, comes forth with his wonderful nature, his perfect nature. He undertakes a distinct and a dreadful struggle, mystery of iniquity. And there you have the dictionary of all scriptures and myths. Ladies and gentlemen, I highly recommend you get the book, because these definitions are of the highest level on all the issues we deal with within our scriptures. Ninja, let's take a break, and then we'll pick it up. I'm going to talk about the Indo-Germanic real quick and may go through some words, okay?
Okay. Excellent. That would... my jaw's on the floor, does it? Okay, we'll go to a quick break. Actually, we'll go to a not so quick break. I need to go and get a cup of coffee. I apologise. We'll put this one on, and we'll see you guys after the break.
1. Commute or unmute yourself. 2. Lock or unlock the conference. 3. Record the conference. 4. Increase.
Okay, welcome back. You're listening to the Forbidden History Chronicles with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. Excuse me. If you haven't heard any of this before, I highly recommend you go back to June 21st last year on Desert's channel, the Forbidden History series, and listen from the start. Desert has a fantastic program. He was doing live streams up until his computer crashed, so we're now doing it through my channel so that he can share what he knows. He can share the truth. Yeah, so go back and listen, and it will help you understand a lot better what we're talking about here. All the links are in the description below on every one of these live streams. And I'd also like to welcome any new listeners and just say I love you guys. To the regulars, and thank you to Lynn and Ya Love, my fantastic moderators. Lynn just never fails me. I don't know how you manage to stay on top of it so well. Yeah, so it's good. You're appreciated, and Ya Love. I have no words because you're so good with the words, and I love how you put them in the chat. And thank you for all the coloured hearts, because I cannot use emojis except for that smiley face which I type in on the keyboard. Otherwise it stops and starts with the stream. So thank you for all the coloured hearts, and I'd like to welcome Desert back if he's back yet. You back yet, Desert?
Let me check.
Okay.
Okay, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
You're doing such a great job, and you've turned out to be such a great radio hostess. I'm overwhelmed, and here you didn't want to talk. Look at you, huh?
I still don't want to talk. I rely on you a lot, Desert.
Right. Well, I noticed you're not short on words. You're just anyway. It's really great. We never know what the surprises life affords us, and that certainly makes it an interesting deal. But we're talking about the most important information on the face of the entire Earth.
Yes, we are.
Or under the Earth. Here's where we bring you the most important information. Yeah, I used to have my pitch. I thought I was going to remember it, but I done it again.
How about I prompt you? What they didn't want you to know. What they didn't want you to know. Desert, it's your turn.
Oh, but will you tell right here?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
That's what we're doing.
Let's see if I can get it. Here's where we bring you the most important information on the face of the entire Earth or under the Earth. Here's where we bring you the very best in radio broadcast listening, where we reveal the greater secrets and the deeper mysteries of life. Yet the one question that will always remain will be this: can you handle the truth as will be presented here this afternoon, this evening, tomorrow morning, in the future, wherever you are around the world? Get ready, because it's the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know.
That's so cool. I haven't heard that in a while. Thank you, Desert.
Well, I've got to work real hard to get it out of me anymore, so it's all back there somewhere, and I can't find it anymore.
Oh, you did well.
That's okay, because it's a new day, and nothing permanent on this planet, other than truth itself. And that's what's exciting about learning truth, because truth is truth, upside down, inside out, backwards, and it's fresh. It's refreshing. When we realize how we've been lied to about everything in our universe. Just like they only told you had 5 senses. When wait a minute, what about my sense of reason? Isn't that the 6th sense? Isn't that more important than my ability to smell?
Yeah, the gut feeling. The gut feeling. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what we Aussies call it. The gut
feeling. It's more than a gut feeling. It's the sense of your ability to reason anything.
Yeah, that too.
More than that gut feeling is more like intuition.
Yeah. Well, people don't listen to that anymore either. Like, I noticed, as looking back as I was growing up, everyone was always going against what my instincts, my gut feeling was telling me to do. And because of this programmed world we're in, I would go against my gut feeling all the time because that's what people wanted me to do, and it would always go pear-shaped and go wrong, completely wrong. And yeah, I've learned that now, go with my gut feeling, not against it, because that's the right thing. Yeah. Yeah. I just had to say that, sorry.
Back in the old days, they probably relied on that old proverbial beetle, and if the beetle was laying on its back with its legs up in the air, they knew they had a problem, right?
Yeah, does it? Yep.
Yeah. If his legs are still wiggling, there's probably hope, other than that, if he's dried. Anyway, back to the story here. So I'm in my dictionary,
Yep.
It's the American Heritage Dictionary of Indo-European Roots.
Okay.
And it's really a great book. It's not that big either, but it's they just did a great job.
Oh, can you?
One of the most.
Sorry, can you please repeat that so I can write it down and look for it?
Okay.
Okay.
It's the American Heritage Dictionary of Indo-European Roots. The American Heritage Dictionary of Indo-European Roots. And so I pretty well have read the introduction on it now, and I'm going through the alphabet. And they have certain places in there where there's a caption, and they give a little bit of a dissertation on certain words. So I thought I'd read this one, which is rather relevant because it's going to take us back to the first word, the most important word that won't be hard to figure out. So language and cultural note. The contract was an important type of reciprocal exchange relationship in ancient Indo-European societies. In fact, of course, any meeting of the mind creates a potential contract, or if we agree on something, there's a contract. You don't have to have paper. It's just, it could be in the mind. So the exchange, the important type of the contract was an important type of reciprocal exchange relationship in ancient Indo-European societies. In fact, the first documentarily attested word in any Indo-European tongue is the Hittite word for contract, appearing as a loan word in Akkadian. See note at SAI, and SAI, I went there, and we see that it is also the word contract, may, M-A-I, which probably should have been M-A-Y, the corruption, and say, S-A-Y. And so we see may and say or zay also means seed, but May is the prime month of blossoming, what blossoms, because usually if there's a contractual relationship, it's supposed to blossom something that's positive. And so in Indo-European, Indo-Iranian, the word for contractual partner is mitra. There we can see the word mitra in there. Mitra, Mitraism. So it has to do with the contract and with the sun, the contract with the sun. The light has contracted with us. It has promised to give us its light, and non-ending. What a contract, feeding us continually. So Mitra was divinized as the god Mitra. There's where we get the word meter also for distance. One of the preeminent deities of the pantheon. Pantheon, I don't think would be the correct terminology because Mithraism was recognized in the one. His name is also one of the earliest Indic words as possesses being found in clay tablets from Anatolia dating to about 1500 BC, or the time of the Exodus. So the word, when I looked under SAI and MAI, there I found the word Ishiya, I-S-H-I-Y-A, and that's from the Hittite. And if it is, it couldn't be more blatant. Ishiya is something other than Eishayam.
Yeah, yeah.
In the
Yeah.
corrected,
I could,
the corrected form.
Yep, I could see
So-
that when you were saying, yep,
Yeah.
yep,
So that means the royal eye that goes round, as I was just implying,
yep,
that
yep,
the sun has an unwritten contract with us, and it is the Aisha Yal, and that means the royal eye that goes round. So there we see it in the Hittite, and therefore what's interesting is the same word as Isaiah, because Isaiah is also Aisha Yal, the
wow,
royal eye that goes round, and it was Isaiah who had basically written much of the Old Covenant writings, the books of the Kings and First and Second Samuel, and of course his book of Isaiah and other works. He was a major compiler of that history, and so it means that's why he had the title, the royal eye that goes round. That probably therefore was not his original name, but it was a title given to him, just like Herodotus means the hero who traveled.
yeah,
As
yeah,
we talked about
Yeah.
names, right? That they
yeah,
have a meaning that they get. Yeah. So there's your contract, and it means to bind. And bind also then would mean to wrap something around something, like the binding of sticks together with a string. So that would be a visual of the idea of a contract, to bind. And of course, the word bond would also be in there. Which word is the best? It's hard to say because contract sounds like a con. That's usually what it is here in America. Anytime you're in a contract with the government or with the banks, it's a con.
can I
I'm
jump-
sure, that's one of those words we need to look at.
sorry, am I able to jump in?
Correct.
Well,
Yes, you
before
are.
I forget, you was talking about bind, and contract, and I pictured a scroll with the little seal that they have. You know how they stamp that bit of wax on a scroll,
Yeah.
binding
Yeah.
a contract. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to add, if anybody wants to call in on Skype, you have a comment or a question, I'd love to hear from you. You'd be giving me a breather, and I'm going to go through a few words. My voice is wearing down, but want to welcome all of our listeners out there, any new listeners on the broadcast. Obviously, the replay gets a lot of viewership. It's on the replay, of course, as well. But we're here to serve, and I pretty well have answered all my questions. I've gone further down the rabbit hole than most, certainly anybody I know out there on the web. I know by the definition of the Yeshavors, the words, what people are attempting to do out there. They know there's a problem. They see that the words are corrupted. Our scriptures have been tainted, and there are a lot of concerted efforts to rebuild the terminology, but the root forms, they're missing it on the Indo-Germanic root forms, because most people, nobody, I don't know anybody that has picked up on the relevance and importance of the Indo-Germanic mother tongue. They're stuck in the Greek and the Hebrew or the Aramaic, and the Aramaic was also corrupted by the Roman Empire of circa 350 AD, and so that's why did they switch out the Greek alphabet? Why did they switch out the Aramaic alphabet? Why did they switch out? Well, we know why Yahweh switched out the alphabet for the Judeans, because they're easy to identify since they're following the Babylonian Talmud. But all the alphabets, the Greek, the Hebrew, and the Aramaic were all the original alphabet, which is we call Aramaic, which you can see today on your driver's license, which was perfected by the Kabbalistic culture, which is okay. They literally told the truth when they perfected our alphabet, what we call the Phoenician alphabet, or all the capital letters. It's actually perfected. They perfected the symbols because they figured we'd never get the picture, I guess.
Yeah.
And but so that's why I was able to read them so clearly 40 years ago, and they opened up to me. The first started with the symbol, and then the compounded symbols, 2-3-letter form, and how they combined in words, and then the trickery, then finding the the codes that were not the original letters, like the J and the C, and other the Q, all these different letters, W, that do not belong. The S, another one, and then the I, letter I, as well. So all these trickeries they play because we won't be, if you got a roadmap, and then somebody changed everything on the roadmap, changed the places, names of places, and routes and everything else. How are you ever going to find your way back home? You can't. You can't. You're going to be lost. You're going to be stuck, and you're going to be scratching your head and not knowing, what to do and what the problem is. So knowing the problem, that all of our words and our scriptures have been engineered by people that hate our guts and that wanted to make sure that we're not going to transcend. And if we can get that part of it, then the rest of it can open up. If we think they're not going to lie to me, my preachers wouldn't lie to me, my teachers, my politicians, wouldn't lie to me, then we're already lost. Because the fact is, they're all lying to us. And our parents are just repeating the same lies. Our parents are not intentionally lying to us, but they repeat the same lies that they were fed. And so the parents are involved in it as well. They're sticking us in front of a television, when we're wearing diapers and we're being hypnotized by the spell that they put us under.
Yeah.
With their entertainment, the training that they put us through.
I was going to say something and it's gone. Sorry.
Okay. All right, and I'll continue. The idea that we're better than everybody else. There's a word you've come up right now, NASA. You see the serpent tongue. Oh, geez, it popped away. You got to make these things stay on there a little longer.
Yeah, I know. I need to do some new ones. Yeah. Yeah. Make them stay up at least for closer to a minute. And that way people can be focused on it and analyze it for a moment. I try. There's so many. I try to fit as much in as I can.
Yeah, well, you're doing good. That's all right. But I'm just saying, let me back up on that NASA.
Yeah.
So NASA is the Naze, and there we see that white string that goes around. You can see it's a sporum. It's a sperm. It's the seed of us, and it is therefore it is, but it looks like a serpent, and then you see the serpent tongue, the red serpent tongue of NASA on top of it, the forked tongue, and then the word Naze, the Naza, it's also known as the Naga, the Nagash, and all these terms that derive out of the word serpent. So they're saying that they're a serpent cult, and then that word NASA we find more clearly in the word Nazar, and that's the Strong's 5,336 Strong's in the Hebrew. And the Nazar means the preserved ones, also the separated. And then Strong's 534. Huh?
I'm just wowing. Yeah.
Okay.
I hadn't heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know the Aryan culture that's running NASA through the Germanic, Aryanism, which they also embrace the Teutonic, the Teutonic knighthood.
Yeah.
All of that goes way back to the ancient Aryan watchers. And so what in Strong's, the Nazar in the Strong's 5341, just a few words away, we get watchmen. And and then also the guardians. So they're the watchmen, they're the guardians. So naturally they would control NASA because they claim to be sky gods, right? Sky gods.
Yeah, see, I got the general picture, but those last few things that you said, it's like, wow, you're just filling in more puzzle pieces. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, so the word, the original prime root, or not the root, but the full blossom of the word with the vowels is the Nazare, the Nazir or the Nazare, and so we can also hear the word nasal, because the gnosis was breathed into the nostrils, the nasal ray, that which came down. And so what was breathed into us is what came down, the knowledge of the light creation, how everything in the cosmos was created. And then the Nazare is also synonymous with the word branch. So whenever you see the word branch in your scriptures, know that behind it is the word Nazare, or the word Nazar. And so it means the preserved ones, the separated ones, the watchmen, the guardians, and a whole lot more. This is where little by little I'm gathering these words on 3x5 cards so I can bring them together in the dictionary to help people out. So we don't have to look at 10,000 words. We can look at the most important in order to get the picture of where we really are within our situation. The Nazare were the sky gods. That's Nazare for the corrupted word Nazareth. There was no town called Nazareth. Nazareth, a phony town of Nazareth, was created during the time of Constantine with his mother. They had to create a phony Nazareth because they knew these Aryans knew that they were the Nazare. The Nazare. I mean, in a simple term, it means the wise one. A Nazare would be or the Naga. In the short form is the wood twister, the one who twists wood. The Naga is the serpent, the wise serpent, the cobra, the supporting power. You know, these are all elements. We only have one picture of snakes, and we think they're bad, but the snake was revered as a high symbol. You know, and remember we talked about when Adam discovered he was naked. You put the word S in front of it, you get naked, but he didn't say I'm naked. That's an abstract thought. He said, I am a serpent. I am a snake. That's what he figured out. He figured out he's as naked as a snake, has nothing on him. Snake has nothing on him. No hands, no arms, no legs, nothing. And just plain chain. And that's what he realized he was. He didn't see it at first. He didn't get it until they were enticed by their own sensuality. And then he realized, wait a minute. How come all the other animals got stuff on, feathers and fur, and we're over here, you know, with plain skin like a snake? And that was the fact that it was to then show us that there's something we got to put on, you know. And of course, interesting, they put the fig leaves on because fig is it should be a PH, not FIG, but PH for figure. And the figure of creation, that's what it means. Figure of creation. Also interesting that the fig is a pregnant fruit because that's what the next thing that happened in the story. She had a son. His name was Gain. Gain wanted to gain everything and gain power. So Cain for gain, and because there's no C, it's a G. And there's more we can say about that, but I'm just going over words, you know, quickly here.
Do you want a quick little voice? Do you want a quick little voice break before we go?
Well, I'd love somebody to call in on Skype, Free America Radio. If you're out there, hello, Planet Earth.
That would be great. I have a question though.
Skype me at Free America Radio, all one word. Love to hear from you, and we're user friendly. So
yes, we are.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just have a question, or something that I saw more of when you were talking about the serpent and the snake. I remember that the symbol for medicine has the snake on it, and doctors deal only with repairing the physical body, which is the serpent, not the soul. So there you go. That's what I was thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't see that. I didn't see that connection, like with the body and the
Yeah. The medical staff is called the caduceus, and it is the two serpents that are climbing up the staff. But if you could realize that the sun is at the top, and if you lay the staff down on the ground and then tilt the sun up and realize they're crawling across the ground, they're not crawling up the staff, they're crawling across the ground towards the sunrise. They're crawling back to the light that they came from, and so the sun with the wings on it is the sunrise. But also it's been alleged, and I think it's probably true, that medical staff is originally the flight staff of the ancient Aryans who flew the anti-gravity Vimanas. It's actually that's why it's got wings on it.
Yeah,
because they were flying Vimanas.
That makes sense.
Anti-gravity.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, wow. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Please continue if you can.
All right. Okay, so I was looking at the the word eagle, as I knew already, represented the sun. I saw the definition in one of the dictionaries I'm working in. I can't remember which one. I should have wrote down which one it was. But E-gal, G-A-L, egal, which correctly would be a-gal. The E takes the place of the I. It's the a-gal. The A is the symbol, as we know, of the sun. And so the eagle, being that it flies higher than all other birds, is a symbol of the sun. And so the E-gal, G-A-L, egal, from the Sumerian, literally means great house. And then when I saw that, it's like, bingo, okay, I get it, because the eagle represents the sun. He flies closest to the sun, and now it's called, in the Sumerian, the eagle is the great house. Go figure. Remember, I'm talking about living in the throne of the sun. That the spirit of the Father is, it's the metaphor. It is a metaphor, of course, for the logo and the sun. In other words, he is all. The spirit is everywhere. There is nowhere the spirit is not. But the house represents, or the sun represents, the great house. We're down. Or the great garden, the true garden of light, whereas we're down here in the lower garden of light, but there's a duality and also darkness. So we're in the lower garden wanting to ascend back up to light. We got a choice. What do you want? Darkness or light? You got a choice. And if we want the light, then we go back to the light where there is no darkness. And so continuing then in the Akkadian, we have the word hekal. Hekal, so the H-E in the beginning is the word the, and so it's the call. So now it's also the call, like the call of the eagle, right? The sound, but also the word call is colander. So it means for time, for counting, for calculation, because the sun keeps going around. You count the days as time goes on, and also this word hekal in Akkadian is the same word for temple. So now we find out that this word is great house, temple, and the hekal comes from ekalu, and ekalu also means palace, and also lu means protector. So it's the ekalu, it is the sound of the protector and the palace. So literally all of these are metaphors for the sun. The eye of the cow, the egal, the egal is the eye of the cow, or the eye of the count. Why is it the eye of the count? Because it spins around every day, every 24 hours, doesn't stop, and people count it, don't they? They count the times it goes around.
Yes,
right?
And that's wow,
Now,
and that's how we have time, if time is even real. That's how we have time.
Right. Well, time is the illusion, but it's based on observation of an object that's going around.
Yeah.
The sun's not going around. The earth is spinning. That's why when you light the lantern, they say, oh, go get the lantern. It's called the lantern because the land turns. It is called by the action of what the earth is doing. It is turning.
Wow.
And the sun is stationary.
That is so cool. That is so cool, Desert. I'm loving this. Do you have more?
A few more.
Okay, good.
How much you got? All right. So the north, as I already knew, didn't mean up on the top of the planet. It means straight up. It refers to the sun. And so the north in the Hebrew is Zephon. Zephon, and there we hear the word Zeppelin. Zeppelin is in that word. Zephon. But we have to reconstruct it. It's missing the pieces. And so we put it back correctly, and then we get Zaphan. It's a T-Z-A-Y. P-H-A-N-N. T-Z-A-Y. P-H-A-N-N. And fan is a prime root of the word for sharpan. There we get the word sharpen. And it is the sun.
Yeah.
The fan is the philpot. It is the swastika spinning and flowing down with the light particles. But here the Zephon is Zaphan. Zaphan, and Zay is seed, correct original word for seed, and so it means the seed, and fan in this instance then means power. And so Zaphan literally means the seed of power. And so once again, when we're pointing straight up, we call it the north, but it is the seat of power, and that is the sun. Everything points back to the sun.
It does.
In these ancient terminology.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything came out of the light.
Yeah.
And and in fact, if you're sore, I see somebody put sore there. Jen put sore, and if you're sore, what you're saying is I'm sore, meaning as if to say I am being burned by the fire of the sun. I am sore. I have been in too much of the light, the fire. So that's and an aspect of that. So lots of words go back there, and we do it all the time here.
Yes.
I gotta build the list. I got to get back to word processing. I can get the list going. Let me pull some other words here. Let me see what we got.
Okay.
Okay, and believe, of course, being a code word. We don't want the word believe because it means to give little credit to something. And so when people say I believe, and like they say I believe in Jesus, and of course we know about Jesus now. That's a very bad word, and it's no joke. And but believe. Means to give a little credit to something. So we have to take it from the mental to the physical aspect, and the physical, because we can't use the word believe. So what in the pretext of the scripture, what would it mean, and or how would you say it? And what it means is what you should say. Well, I don't believe any. See, I've been saying for years now. I don't believe anything. Okay, I deal with knowing. I don't give a little credit to anything. Like when they say I believe in Jesus, they just said I give a little credit to Jesus. No, I deal with knowing, okay? I don't believe anything. I know. It's possible to know that you know that you know.
Yeah.
And so I know. How do I know? I know by following. So in the scriptures, when when Yeshua said to the blind man, do you believe that I can do this, to be healed? What he would have said, it really was not that you believe. Do you know that I can do this? And he said, yes, healer. I know you can do this. You see, it's an absolute. It's an affirmative. Believe. I always felt like it was like, well, I think so. I hope so. Sure, I believe.
Yeah.
It's like some gut, a gut feeling. That it's, but it doesn't have any substance behind it.
Yeah.
That's what they give to us. That's another one of those code words. So it's about knowing, and by following. So you can say I follow Yeshua, or I know Yeshua. Because you can know him. That's the whole objective, is to know him, and you know him by experience. You know him by him continually revealing himself to you because you are continually following him.
Yeah.
Not believing him, but following him.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like. Yeah. Like. Even before I knew the correct name for him, like I've said before, it was about six months before I was introduced to your live streams and started to really learn the truth. During those 6 months, that was the first time in my life that I knew. I used to use the word believe a lot because people would try and tell me that I was wrong or stupid or whatever, and I just used to use the word believe. But during those 6 months was the first time I knew, like I just knew for sure. So I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I know the knowing. Yeah, I'm new to it, but I know it. Yeah.
Okay, and thank you to Teresa, Take the Old Devil, for your comment. You need to throw me your phone number, and we can get you to call in there, Teresa. We need some backup here, and hope you call in one day. Okay, you just text me the number. Text me your number and I can call you back. 608-566-7295. 608-566-7295. Okay, here's an important word.
Okay.
Here's one. I'm going through words while we're talking. so Gethsemane, the Garden of Gethsemane, which is where Yeshua was. At the end, he'd always go to the garden, and so literally Gethsemane means the oil press. So we're talking about olive oil.
Yeah.
And so it's the oil press. Olive is the symbol of truth. Olive oil is the symbol of truth. They put the olive oil in the lamp to be lit on fire, and so the oil press. So there he was. He was being at the end of in what we call the Passion. We see he's being pressed out, right? He's being poured out of his spirit, saying, "Not my will, but your will be done, Father." And so it's the press of truth. It's when he was now going to be transformed. You press the olives and you get oil, and so he's the olive. So by his being pressed out and by him giving himself as a sacrifice, we have the word olive, and the word olive means, if the word means means true, it's the true life. But olive, we can also see all live through this oil press of Gethsemane that he had brought together for us.
Yeah.
And Geneva, where in Switzerland they decide they're going to wage war. They have a meeting and say, okay, how are we going to peacefully wage war around the world? That's a good idea. Peacefully wage war. Let's all agree on how we're going to wage war against each other, friends, shall we? Sure, because we know that we don't get hurt anyway. It's all those stupid slaves that go onto the battlefield. And so in Geneva, they decide how they're going to wage war, and Geneva means the generations of Eve. So how are we going to decide to wage war on the generations of Eve? And then they have their agreements, and they say, okay, so we won't use chemical weapons on any other country, but we can use them on our own. We won't use weather warfare on anybody else, but we'll do it on our own. And so Geneva also, I learned then, ultimately is the word theft. Geneva is a Hebrew word for theft, and so go figure, right?
Wow. That makes sense.
Are we having fun yet, Ninja?
Yes. Desert. Always. Always.
All right. All right. So, don't forget, you can pose questions also. If you're afraid to call in, you can just put my name in all capital letters.
Yeah, all capital letters.
Yeah.
Desert can see the chat,
word.
so yeah, all capital letters, and he'll spot it, and yeah, all good.
Right.
Yeah.
So the word, another word for truth, math means truth, because when you add everything, you can only do math with truth. That's all, and so math means truth. And also the M-A-T-H, if you split the M-A and T-H, you got the mother's sacrifice. You got the mother's sacrifice in that element there, those two short forms. But truth, another word for truth, I just recently learned through the Aramaic. Syriac is the Greek of Aramaic. But truth is also shari. And shari is nothing other than a sharay. So the royal eye of light is a sharay, and that means truth also. So there's another word for truth. Okay? Oh, that was out of the Kibburis manuscript. I got that, page 23. So there's another Aisha word. It's amazing how the Aisha is the prime word, and they put it right on our maps, and nobody ever defines what Aisha was about or where it comes from, and it is the royal eye. And that's what we are. You see, we are a royalty. We are a product of light, and there's only one true Malakaim and one true ruler of our universe, and we are his subjects, whether we acknowledge it or not. We are his subjects. We are made by him. He gave us breath. We're breathing his breath, and taking advantage of his light, and yet we never get the picture, and we go about doing our own thing, and think that we can just somehow we're going to miraculously get through this by just doing our own thing, and you can't, because if you think you're in control, you're not in control. That's a con. Control is con, but if you surrender, then it's what's in the word, soul render. You're rendering to the light. Soul render. Okay, and so
wow.
this question here, I thought I saw a question. How do you spell that word desert is speaking about right now? Aisha?
I don't know which word.
I think she's talking about Aisha Ray.
Because there's a delay. So.
A-S-H-A-R-A-Y. It's a corruption of the word Sharai, Sari. Remember, Sarah was first called Sarai, but that's a corruption. It's Aisha Ray. Shari, once you got the word Sat in the name Sarah, it went from Aisha Ray to Aisha Ray Ha. And so that's how the original went. So it's Aisha Ray, A-S-H-A-R-A-Y, and then after that would be the Ha, the H-A would be added to it when she got it. Because what did the Ha mean? It means the breath.
Yeah.
So she is the truth. She is the truth for the tribe that's coming down, bringing the truth. The Av rays, the star rays is the word for Hebrew. The Av rays is the star ray, and the star ray is truth. And so the woman represents, just like he said to Geva, Adam said to Eve, you are the mother of all living, meaning you are the virgin light that's coming down. And so Sarah becomes the same character type, and Sharai is Aisha Ray, and it means truth because the truth is going to come through her lineage, through her children, through her offspring. The truth will come through them. So she was known as truth. The Aisha Ray, she represents the light of the sun, you see. Aisha Ray. So there you go.
Thank you.
Don't forget you heard it here first. Do tell your friends, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Because we're trying to get this out to to others. There's others that need this information. You're benefiting by hearing this information, but realize how unique it is, to hear these original terminologies. It's been a lifetime of preparation, over 40 years in the wilderness for me, and I climbed a mountain, to get this vision. And when I came off the mountain, the words opened up to me. I learned the truth about you have to live a pure life, free from sin, free from closing your eyes, and put on the perfection of light. That is what the light is. That's what Yeshua is perfection. Everybody will say, well, nobody's perfect. Any Christian any day of the week will tell you, okay, so when he said to be perfect, then you don't accept that as truth. When he says, behold, we speak wisdom among those who are perfect. He has perfected forever those who are set aside. The perfect man offends not word and deed. And all these Christians say they don't think anybody can be perfect. Well, then you don't think Yeshua was perfect. Then I guess you don't think Enoch was perfect, or Noah was perfect, or Abraham was perfect, right? So nobody's perfect. Okay, then the whole story's a lie, right?
Wow.
You see, they got their eyes closed. I think it's the problem.
Yeah.
Your eyes are open. I think you'll know what to do, right or wrong. You'll know what to do, and if you have a conscience, your conscience will bother you if you do what is not right once you wake up to the higher truth.
Yeah, I just want to say, we muck around and we laugh and giggle here, but it is pretty serious, and you're not going to hear this anywhere else. So, yeah.
And so the word, the word Genesis. When I back engineered the word Genesis, I was looking at it because I was getting, I was preparing for the transliteration of the first several chapters of Genesis, because I know that it was all corrupted and controlled by the priesthood, so that we would never get the light. And then I saw all, and I said, wait a minute, the word Ganesha, and then Yalov confirmed that it was from the Hindu, Hindustan, and then so literally Ganesha means Gan for the garden, Aisha for the royal eye. So Ganesha means Genesis, which is Ganesha, means the royal eye of the garden, and also the A-N-N, Gan, A-N-N, in there means the harvest, the place of harvest. So the royal eye of the garden that came down for a harvest, and so but I was looking at the word Geniza in the Hebrew, because the word is found in the Hebrew as Geniza, and that means hiding. Of all things. So the garden, the Ganesha in the word Genesis, and everything around us is the garden that is hiding. Remember, we talked about that.
Yep.
That's why we can't see it, because nobody told us. But when we wake up to it, it's not hard to figure out we're on the lower garden.
Yeah.
Because the garden's not on the moon. obviously you can't go in outer space. This is we're in a bubble. We're in a bubble, and this is it. You know, we can't go anywhere else. If we go out there in outer space, we're going to get killed by radiation, X-rays, and UVC and B radiation, and so we're stuck here until we can transcend. And the way we transcend, of course, is spiritually, not physically. We cannot transcend physically. And so, but I'm looking at this card. I forgot I found it, and Geniza in the Hebrew means hiding. And so when they put Genesis on the book, they're telling us everything's hiding. Shh, don't tell nobody, okay?
Yeah.
You know?
So
you can't see it.
Yeah. So it's hidden in plain sight, and they've got people distracted on an endless quest looking for a Garden of Eden that used to exist somewhere on the planet, when that is a complete lie. Yeah.
So Geniza then in its definition is a repository, usually associated with a synagogue. There's having your eyes closed. Synagogue means to put out the eye of the sun. That's literally what synagogue means. That's why they have synagogues for their Jews. Repository usually associated with the synagogue for books or ritual objects which have become unusable. Unusable, get it? You see, so... happy birthday to Teresa, and she doesn't want to talk today, but she's
the delay. Yeah, I just saw the next one. The delay sucks. Yes, it does.
Okay. Happy
but
birthday,
happy birthday. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, there you go. You know, the amazing legacy of our planet is everything's based on a lie. There is no truth other than what is revealed truth. If everything's handed to you on a silver platter, wrapped in tinsel gold, guess what? It's probably not true.
Yeah. And
you got to go see it, read it for yourself. That's what behold means. You must see and read it for yourself. And Ninja, did I do enough damage for today, or what?
Possibly. I think you did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no questions out there, and nobody's calling in, and we're
just have a quick look at the chat just above Take's message. Jet's been trying to ask something.
Oh, all right, okay, so here we go. Remember to put my name in all capital letters at the beginning of a question, that way we won't miss it. And they are trying to take back, they are trying to block out the light. Conchel, well, yeah, but the geoengineering is, has several agendas, and the geoengineering, they apparently their notion that the Earth was going to be heating up may have this is one of those enigmas, because I don't know the answer, but being that they started geoengineering 70 years ago, it was alluded to, I think, by Dane Wigington, that they knew that we were on a spiral, and it may be because of the industrial age. It may be the industrial age that kicked us into a spiral, that they knew that the Arctic, for instance, they knew that the ice was melting. They knew that things were heating up on Earth. They could tell, through the patterns. And so ultimately they were trying to learn how to perfect the geoengineering to really control the weather well. Now, at the same time, while they're doing that, you remember they used to have the supersonic flights. I think they were called SST, supersonic transport planes. There was like a fleet of about 12 of them. Ninja, you remember?
Yeah, I remember supersonic. Yep.
They were these very sleek white air jets.
Yeah.
That the nose tilted down until they got in high speed, and they straightened the nose.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, and so they were going to come out with them, right? Supersonic transport, and they did the research, and they found out that they couldn't build a fleet of supersonic transport jets, because when they did the math, and math doesn't lie, when they did the math, they found out that if they went ahead and produced these supersonic high-flying jets, they would ultimately destroy the ozone. So that's why there was only a dozen of them, and they never went to full production. So they knew that they could destroy the ozone layer, and so it's likely that the industrial age of all the smokestacks and all the petrochemical companies, all the false need for petrochemical industry when we have free energy given to us by Tesla, the knowledge and the science of free energy, we could have bypassed the industrial age of smokestacks and carbon gases going up. And so ultimately, they knew that they had to increase the amount of coverage over the sky for the blocking out of the sun rays. But in the same process, they put in there the aluminum, barium, strontium, and all the other garbage, blood cells, whatever, and rained it down on us to, at the same time, destroyed our ability for food production. And at the same time, when you have aluminum in the sky, you can also create holograms, which is how they're going to create the motherships.
Thank you. I was going to, yeah. Thank
you. So all of these things are wrapped in this project, but they're
multi-purpose.
In the insane asylum, going to take down our world.
Yeah.
They know it's over, and so they're going to do it. They're darndest to go out with blazing guns. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. To quote a quote off Dane's channel, to control the weather is to control the world, and that's what they're doing. They're controlling the world, not just with the weather, but that's the main thing, and everything else is a bonus. That's the way I look at it. The weather control is the main job, and everything else that they use the same things for, the chemtrails, the chemicals, everything else that they use that for is a bonus. And yeah, it's I won't go into it here because I've just seen so much. It's like, thank you, Desert, for directing me to Dane's channel, because that's helped me see a lot more about what's going on in the sky and how they're doing it, like the trickery, the smoke and mirrors with the tricks of light and the aluminium and reflections and holograms and poisoning of people and causing them to making everyone sick, making everyone lose their memories. It helps with the mind control, and it helps cull the population so it's easier to control. It keeps people in fear. It's separating everybody from the light on many levels. And there was one more thing while I was on a roll, but it's gone now, I think. No, it's gone. I can't think of it. Yeah, sorry. I got on a bit of a roll. That's my, was my obsession. It's not anymore, I hope.
Yeah. The
sky,
It's just we need to know what is going on. So I see Jed has another question. It's tough to find things for yourself when they keep hiding everything. You're right. Certainly key word searches on Google will bring you a lot of information, but how to sift through it is another thing, because there's a lot of true information and there's a lot of false information. We've got the Jesuits, the Masons, the CIA, and all these other layers of the onion, all here to create this information. But the true revealer, the one who reveals all things, as I say, the one who made all things is the one who reveals all things. And so connecting with your Redeemer is the way to have everything open up for you. It's not His will that we be in darkness and deceived. The problem is He's trying to get our attention. He shines the light down on us every day, and we don't get the picture of what that light represents. That it's the great logo. It's His great symbol. It's the scepter. It's the royal scepter of the one who made the universe, Yahweh. And so we have to become students. We have to become fully dedicated to the cause. It's not a part-time occupation. He said you have to lose your life in order to save your life. So He knows better. He is the great Father of light, and therefore must know what is better for us than we know ourselves. So that's we have to start listening and start reading the Schultres, the scriptures that tie everything together, the sutures, Schultres, and then we'll we'll begin to comprehend fully what it is that we're supposed to do and why, and to forgive those who hurt us, and to love our enemies. And so, if we're supposed to love our enemies, certainly we're supposed to love all those that are struggling here and that are trying to transcend. So it's a tough world, but we got to make it through. That's what we're going to be continuing to try to do right here on the Forbidden History series with Ninja Cat 111 every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, every Sunday 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and hopefully up with Shannon on Friday nights real soon. And if anyone else out there wants to do an interview with me, I'm open to a few more interviews. I just need help on the production because I'm having some technical issues, and it's easier if somebody else can be the engineer on all that. So I think it's a wrap, Ninja, and I just want to say, if you want to know the future, then just don't forget. Look for us right here on the Forbidden History series. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Right, Ninja?
Yes, we do. We do indeed. Yeah. Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Desert, and thank you to everybody for joining. It's been amazing. As usual, I didn't want it to stop. So, yeah, can't wait till Sunday. Okay. We'll call it a night then. I'm out of words as usual. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Yalove. Happy birthday, Take. And I hope you all have a fantastic day, night, wherever you are, and be safe and warm or cool wherever you are. And you've been listening to the Forbidden History Chronicles. And see you Sunday. I'm just trying to find the button. Okay. All right. Love you guys. See you later.
Please press 1 to mute or unmute yourself. 2 to lock or unlock the conference. 3 to record the conference. 4 for